Hey gang, welcome back to J Day's Garage. Today's video is part 6 in the Honda Civic rebuild. What I started with was a wrecked 2004 Honda Civic, had some front end damage, did not have any frame damage, just had the bumper cover, the hood, the fender, and the core support, headlights, that sort of thing. And I've already done repairs on all of that. So if you're interested, go back and look at those other videos so you see the process and how you might be able to do some work on one of those as well. The advantage is the car did not have any frame damage, so I was able to do everything in my home shop. So far, everything fits great. I've done test fitting of all the panels, and now what I want to do is prep the hood, the bumper cover, the fender, and the grill insert that goes into the bumper cover, and get those ready for paint. Now I'll point out, these panels have EDP coating on them, which is that black coating, and I'm not taking all that off. If I was doing an old Mustang or something, I would probably strip all of this off and start over with epoxy, but this is just a daily driver type of car. So I will prep these panels, and to do that, I will likely use red Scotch-Brite, pretty simple, and I will use my DA with an interface pad, and I will also use 400 sanding discs. What I plan to do is sand the inside of the hood and the bumper cover with the red Scotch-Brite, any kind of little spaces that you can't get into. The main surface on top of the fender and the hood I will do with the interface pad and the 400. That way it is quicker and it's ready to go. I could just do everything with the red Scotch-Brite. It really wouldn't hurt. And I may do some with it as well. I may change my mind midstream, but that's the plan right now. So let me show you what I'm working on. So at this point I will prep the underside of the hood. I'm not going to worry about the top side just yet. I just want to get that part taken care of, get the primer on it, let it dry. The bumper cover, it already has primer on it. Now this is a good thing. However, I still will add the 2K primer because I need to get this influence to a lighter shade so that the coverage of the paint is better. The fender EDP coating as well. I'll clean this up, scuff this, and the insert. Now this is, I'm going to assume just raw plastic. In most cases, you would want to add, you may have to add some adhesion promoter. I'll have to see if I have any. If I don't, I will just scuff this, hit it with the 2K, and hope for the best, honestly. So let me get started on this, and we'll see how much I can get done today while the weather is warm. At this point, I have scuffed both sides of the hood, the bumper cover, the fender, and the insert for the bumper cover. I've wiped them down with Windex. Before I spray, I will do a degrease on all of these, spot and grease remover. Make sure they're clean, and they should be all ready to spray at this point. The most important thing when you're doing this on these panels is to get rid of any shiny stuff. You want to scuff and make the shiny go away, and usually that's when you're breaking the surface and you're getting into the paint itself or the coating or whatever it may be. Now I plan to use my Omni MP282 MH284. That's the primer surfacer and that's the hardener, and I will reduce this some to make it spray out a little more flat, let's say, and I'll probably use this slow reducer MR187. Over here this is the paint that I plan to use on the car. This is from a paint shop that's local. I don't know who this company is, honestly, but I will try them and see how this works. Normally I would use PPG, but the PPG store that I use is quite a distance away. One thing that they had suggested here at this store was, and I will point out, this is a color match to the fender that was on the car. But one thing they pointed out, they said, to get good coverage, which I may just use whatever's in this can. This is going to mix 1-to-1, should mix 1-to-1. You know, you reduce this stuff down, typically half. So they suggested adding some color if I had any cheap paint that was similar in color. Well, I do have some of this, and I don't know if I'm going to try this or not, but this is from the Ford Focus that I had, that I'd done similar work to it. So I'm debating on whether I want to spray some of this just to get the color tone a little closer to the gold. The other alternative is I have some of the Shopline Honda America. This is the paint that I used on the core support, just as a color. You know, the car is goldish in color, and this is very similar to that. But this should be plenty to do everything. I'll decide if I want to experiment maybe on the underside of the hood or something and spray some of this stuff first and then put some of this on top. Okay, so I'm doing a little bit of an experiment today as well. You've seen me use the Black Widow spray gun before. This is the primer or base gun, 1.7 tip. And in the past I have used my PPS cups. So this is the adapter for the PPS. This is version 1 of the PPS. And if you're not familiar with this, that's what this is. It's 3M deal. You put a liner in here, you mix up your stuff. It has a scale on the side. If I show you one of these other ones, it has a scale on the side so you can measure out what you need, put everything together, and then the idea is that this locks into this on your cup or on your gun and you're ready to spray. Self-contained, there's a screen in there, it's all good. But I'm trying something different today. I saw these at Harbor Freight, this little disposable cup kit. What you get inside of that appears to be 5 cups, 5 threaded adapters, and 5 caps. So here's the threaded adapter. You can see it's got a different shape on either side. Based on what I'm seeing, if you use this system, the cup, the threads are the same whether it's in the cup or the gun. But looking at it, this extra shoulder right here appears to go deeper into the port on the gun. So I'm going to assume, you know how that is, assume that that's where that goes, and it kind of bottoms out and gets snug in there. Now I have a wrench here. See if I can tighten that down, and that should take care of that part of it. And then the cup itself threads onto that. Here's the difficulty, and I say this because it could be difficult. There's no way, or no easy way, to measure out your fluids in here. There's a scale on here. It says 100, 200, 3, 4, 5, 600 milliliters. That's great. But normally you need something like this cup. Well, what do? Well, you can mix the stuff up in here and then pour it into this cup, you know, the secondary container. But what really that you end up with is using up these just so you end up using 2 cups, right? The advantage being that the PPS system, it's all in one. When you're done painting, you toss the inside. So what I'm going to try to do, because I don't want to necessarily, I like having these around, they're handy, but I want to try something. And what I want to do is I'm going to mix up 4 parts of the 2K surfacer, 1 part of the hardener, and then I'm going to add 1 part of the reducer that I mentioned earlier, right? So what does that mean? Well, it means I can do 400 to 500 to 600. So that's 4 parts to 1-to-1. Hope that makes sense. Now the next part of the difficulty is this is down. So if you start pouring into this, it could actually run out over the front of it. And this cap that comes with it has a vent hole in the top, so you have to be cautious of that as well. You have to let air in so that it can spray out. You're not going to tilt this thing upside down and spray. It's not going to work. The PPS cups, that's exactly what these do. These liners collapse. I don't know, you probably can't see that very well, but the liner inside will collapse so that you can spray at different angles and stuff. So just something I'm trying. What I may do is set this old can here and then set the gun, or prop it, maybe put something beside it to keep it from tilting over, and then put in the material on the top. I'm just kind of roughing the idea at this point, just to see what may work best. You know, one of those disadvantages. Okay, I've thought it over. It's just not going to work. The reason it won't work is you can't stir it up in this cup very well. I don't trust that I would get the mix proper inside of that. So I'm going to revert back to one of these cups, and I'll again mix it 4 to 1 to 1. And I'm not sure how much exactly I'm going to mix to, but I have to get enough to cover everything, at least one coat. Well, things are looking okay as far as getting primer on these panels. However, if you notice when I was spraying with that Black Widow gun, there were some sporadic kind of spitting sounds. And it had done that before, and I forgot to do anything about it and check on it. So I did check on it, and basically I've switched back to one of my old cheap guns that I'm going to spray with. The Harbor Freight gun has a setting on the back here for airflow, okay? And there's a little rubber O-ring in there. The problem is that O-ring failed. It's got a piece of it broken off. I tried to find another one, didn't work. The one I found wouldn't fit. Put the old one back in, I tried it again, and I could hear the air, even just connecting it, coming out of that adjustment. So this is an old faithful Hvlp gun. This is part of a basic cheap kit that I bought years ago. One of those where you get 2 guns and a little touch-up gun for like $100. Honestly, you can't beat them. I've painted a lot with this and have no complaints. The other thing I want to mention, this Harbor Freight cup thing. When I used it on the Harbor Freight gun and using their adapter, screwed it on and it slipped. Like it was continuing to rotate and wasn't locking in. So that's why I just went ahead and sprayed fast. I wanted to get it done because I was worried about it leaking out of this thing and I was not prepared to go another direction. What I've done here is there's a fitting on top of this where you would screw on a normal metal cup, and that's what I've done here. Now this actually feels pretty good. The adapter I don't think I would trust that very much. So I'm gonna spray the hood, try to keep moving. So as I'm making this video, I was reviewing some of the footage that I had, and I realized some of it just disappeared. I had filmed different things. I had filmed some of the clear coating, and I know that it worked out on one of my cameras, but this camera, it lost the footage. So let me show you what I used for the clear coat on this car. So this is the clear coat kit. Again, this is not high-end stuff. This is probably some of the cheaper stuff you can get. And basically it says for car body repair, European spot panel, HS clear, mixes 4:1. And for what I'm using it for, this is just fine. So here's the end result. Again, the color laid out really nice. The clear coat looks okay. You probably noticed that there was some, when I was spraying, it was kind of sputtering with my Hvlp gun, and I switched over to the Black Widow gun and it was doing the same thing. So there must be something wrong with my regulator or something that's causing that problem. But, you know, it looks good. Again, a daily driver car. So bumper cover Looks good. Now, I will admit it's a little dry down here on this edge. Just a little, but not too bad. And I'll point out something else. I made a mistake, I know. First mistake of 2022. These were supposed to be black, and this area was supposed to be black. It's not going to hurt anything. Have color on there. I could come back in, scuff these up, tape it off, and just spray some trim paint in there if I wanted to, just to give it some color variation. This area, I don't know if I'll worry about it or not, but just an observation. Otherwise, things look good. Insert looks good. Fender turned out pretty nice as well. Still not bad for just a little home-built paint booth. Oh, one more thing I want to show you. This is the fender from the car, talking about color matching. Now you will see a variation because the hood is flat and the fender has a curve to it. However, if I can get right up against it, the color is really, really close. Now I can see the flake in the hood is a little thicker, a little stronger looking, but it's close enough for what I'm doing. I'm happy with that. Well, I think that'll be the end of this video. The next video in this series will be the assembly. I'll put the fender on, the hood on, the bumper cover. Hopefully all the paint matches and looks good. From there, it's going to go up for sale. Now, what will I get out of it? I have no idea. It depends what the market bears. The car is a good car. It has 200,000 miles on it, but no check engine light. Everything works. Can't complain about that, People are looking for cars. Maybe I can get something good out of it. What did it cost to do all the work to this car? I don't really know. The car itself was given to me. Basically it said, tow it out of this carport and you can have it, do what you want with it. So I did. Materials and parts, probably under $1,000. I don't know if I'd go that high. Not the most expensive paint, not the most expensive clear, all aftermarket pieces and parts. So it's available out there, and if you decide you want to try to get one of these or do one of these projects, just make sure you get something that doesn't have bent frame rails, because that's always a challenge. With all that said, I do want to give a shout out to my patrons. Through their support, I'm able to continue to make videos here on YouTube. I appreciate them very much. And if you're interested in becoming part of that team, there are links in the description below, and you can join us at any time. Greatly appreciated. I'm looking forward to sharing more videos with you in 2022. I will have a series going on the 68 Camaro rebuild, hopefully the 67 Mustang fastback conversion that I plan to do. There's another 68 I have here. There are people who, there's a gentleman who has a 69 he wants me to do some work on. There's another person with a 65 and a 66. And it's mostly sheet metal work. And that's what I want to focus on, is doing sheet metal work. And we'll see how that goes. But anyway, stay tuned. There's more to come. Don't forget to hit that like button, share, leave a comment. And until next time, take care of yourselves. See you.